All right, everyone, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Well, we're just a day away from the call-in live stream. Sunday, February 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The callers have had, the link has been sent out to them. It should be interesting. We're testing this technology for the radio program that we have coming up. So we're going to have to see how this works out and see how well it does. And hopefully everyone can join and participate, because I think it'll be a fun show. But let's get into the only Giant news that's really readily available right now. And the only news that is roster and salary cap affecting, and that is Nate Solder deciding to come back. Or he's saying he's going to decide to come back. 32-year-old Nate Solder, the left tackle, is coming back to play for the New York Football Giants in 2021. Now, I think some of us were under the misconception that if we would have waived or traded Nate, that all his money would magically be off the books. Well, sad to say that's not happening. That's not true. Even if we waived him or traded him, we'd still be on the hook this year for $10 million in dead cap space. Right now, his cap number is $16.5 million against the $10 million salary. So there's a lot of money invested and tied up into Nate Solder right now because, of course, as we know, his contract paused when he decided to opt out in the 2020 season. So, I mean, what are we thinking here? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I mean, I personally think it's a good thing. A lot of people are probably saying,
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Just for the fact that they think I'm excited about this, they're gotta think I'm taking crazy pills, but I'm not. I think in some ways, Nate Solder can solidify this line and provide the depth that we need, that we will not need to go out into free agency and the draft to fill the spots on the roster. Right now, of course, you are probably going to have left tackle is going to be Andrew Thomas. Left guard is going to be Shane Lemieux or Will Hernandez. Nick Gates is going to be at center, or maybe the ex-Jet's going to come in. We don't know yet. Kevin Zeidler, we still have a question mark on, but the right tackle, we know Cam Fleming is not going to be back. So we're hoping that Matt from Connecticut can help fill in that spot, but we don't know what he's going to be. I'm thinking we slide Nate Solder in to that right tackle spot. Give Matt some more time to mature and maturate, and then potentially try to find a right guard or restructure Kevin Zeidler's contract. I was taking a look at the contract of Zeidler and Nate Solder. So I was doing some basic math on the board the other day, and let's see, I carried the 6 and move that over to the 8, and I take a look at this, and you know what that comes out to be? No, wait, hold on. Yeah, it looks like, you know what it comes out to be? I have no idea. No, I'm just joking. It would make sense to keep Kevin Zeidler and potentially restructure his deal. I'm not a fan of releasing Kevin Zeidler. I know we want to clear cap space because I know we want to go out and make that big splash. I know we want to sign Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson and Allen Robinson and get the kid from Detroit and then go pick up a linebacker and everything else. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it's just plain and simple. We are limited in cap space, and unless players are willing to take a smaller salary and bonus up front and then kind of stretch the rest of it through the back end of the deal, because we have more cap space going into 2022, it's going to be interesting. So we kind of have to work with what we have on the roster. I personally think we restructure Kevin Zeidler's contract. And in some ways, I know some people are going to be against it. Maybe we restructure Nate Solder's contract as well. Yes, it may add another year onto his contract, but maybe we add on another year to his contract of non-guaranteed money. Our salary cap situation would be precarious at best, the way I see it right now. And we are not going to make, I personally don't think we're going to make a large splash in free agency. I think we're going to target middle-of-the-road players like Curtis Samuel, and maybe a running back and maybe some backup defensive linemen and maybe a Melvin Ingram. But unless we find a way to clear this cap space, I just don't see us making that big splash this year. Because even at 30, if we have $40 million in cap space, you have to then take a look at, you have to subtract the rookie pool. And again, remember, we're going off the rule of 51 in reference to contracts. And then you're planning on potentially signing Leonard Williams to $18 to $20 million. So if you take away $9 million or $8 million on the rookie cap pool, you're already down to 30. And then we turn around and we give Nate 16 of that. That's down to 14. And we're only getting at that number if we release Zeidler and a bunch of other players. I don't think that Joe Judge wants to decimate his offensive line so he can bring in other talent. I think that Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge are going to work through the draft and try to fill the roster like they did last year. Maybe taking players that have higher upside for their totality of their career, but maybe not in the immediate future, sort of like they did with Matt from Connecticut, and try to groom these players like they did, like when they took the plethora of linebackers. And I think that's what we need to kind of remember going into this free agency. Listen, I would love to make a free agent splash, but we have so many holes on the offense. We still have a need for an actual edge that could pass rush. We still need a CB2. We probably need about 2 more linebackers. So we kind of have to think, and as an organization, we kind of need to be smart. We know the cap space is going to be there in 2022. And I know Giant fans don't want to hear it because we're not in the win now mode because we haven't been winning now in a long time. But we need to think and we need to be smart as an organization to understand that Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman need to be in this for the long haul. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, Dave Gettleman's going to make these moves to save his job. I think the best way to save his job is to find the talent that this team needs for 3 years, for the next 3 to 5 years down the road. Would I like to make the playoffs this year? I would love to make the playoffs this year. But right now, the way that the offense is constructed, I'm not seeing that. I mean, unless something spectacular happens, unless they grab some guys in the draft and some people just want to come to New York, I'm not seeing a Herculean step forward for the offense. I see a massive improvement if Saquon Barkley comes back, which will help Darius Slayton, which in some ways in turn will help Evan Ingram unless he gets traded, which then in turn will help Sterling Shepard, and then hopefully Daniel Jones. And I think I think the best way to help Daniel Jones also is to build the continuity in the line. You can't move out 2 to 3 components of the line a second year in a row. I mean, you cannot take Cam Fleming and Kevin Zeidler. You can't take your whole right side of your line and dump them out. Now, yes, potentially you could move Nick Gates probably over to the right guard position. And I'm not saying he played poorly at center, but he was an experiment at center, and we now have 2 centers on the roster in Spencer Pulley, and I can't even remember the guy's name, the guy from the Jets, who we gave the more money in the futures contract that you needed to do. So I think we need to think about it that way. The best way to help Daniel Jones, yes, is to get him weapons, but it's also to give him continuity in his offense and continuity in his offensive line. And I think that's what we need to focus on. And I think the Giants as an organization right now are smart enough to understand that you need to play this for the long haul. And that's why I've said a million times, signing Leonard Williams may not be the best way to go. Only because of the fact that I don't think from a long-term standpoint that he is going to be at the peak of his career when we are making the playoffs again. And I think as an organization, that's what we need to look out for. And that's what I hope the Giants understand, that we need to play the game a long ball and not look for the immediate future. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, if you subscribe, if you ring that bell, you know what that means, that'd be awesome.